on NTA.
Lesser pilgrimage. President Muhammadu Buhari to embark on his last trip as president to Saudi Arabia to perform Umrah.
It really touches us for unity, for love, for working together for progress.
Galilee Day. Christians urged to pursue peace and selflessness as they commemorate the resurrection of Jesus Christ.
Global growth would remain below 3% as we projected it earlier.
Plus, World Bank and IMF spring meeting begins amid global economic challenges, pegs global growth at 3% for a period of 5 years. Good evening and welcome to NTA Network News. I'm Cyril Stober in Abuja. Michael Olale is in Lagos. And you can follow us live on our website, nta.ng/live, NTA News Now on Twitter, as well as other social handles. President Muhammadu Buhari will be traveling to Saudi Arabia on official visit from Tuesday, April 11th to 19th, on his last trip to the kingdom as president, during which he will perform Umrah, the lesser pilgrimage. The president will be accompanied by his aides. The death and resurrection of Jesus Christ are symbolic events in Christendom. Another day of spiritual significance for Christian faithful is Easter Monday, a day Jesus met with disciples at Galilee. Over now to Elizabeth Amori for details of the meeting after the resurrection.
Why do you seek the living among the dead? He is not here, but is risen.
The ministry of Jesus continued after his resurrection, particularly in Galilee, where he had instructed the disciples to meet him long before the crucifixion, death, and resurrection. Going by biblical accounts, Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of Jesus, were at the tomb where Jesus was buried and found it empty, and instructed by an angel to tell his disciples to meet Jesus in Galilee.
Peace be with you.
This, theologians and clergymen say, is the fulfillment of the scriptures.
Therefore means back that he's taking them back to the point of their ministry and his own ministry as well. And that meeting point there in Galilee, Jesus is reminding them of the purpose of their mission and his mission on earth, which he entrusted to the disciples as well.
The message of the resurrection simply comes to tell every one of us, no matter how bad it is, there is still a possibility in God for us to bounce back.
Galilee featured predominantly in the sojourn of Jesus Christ. He was born in Nazareth, a town in Galilee, called his disciples in Galilee, walked on the Sea of Galilee, and performed the first miracle of turning water into wine in Cana of Galilee. In fact, many of his miracles, healing, and ministrations linked to Galilee. These are not without lessons that include divine encounter, renewal, and new beginning.
So as we look focused on the resurrection, and we look at humanity, the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ reminds every family, every individual, that no matter how far down you've gone, no matter how bad it's become, you can still rise again.
As the faithful celebrate Easter Monday, the expectation is for them to be Christ-like, upholding righteousness.
The Lord bless you and keep you.
In Abuja, Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
The commemoration of the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead is the celebration of victory over death, and is usually marked as Galilee Day by Christians the world over. Charity Zaka reports that Christians in the FCT converged on Karshi to observe the day.
Sharing in the joy of the risen Christ among these Christians in Karshi at the mountaintop to mark Galilee Day celebration are adults, youths and children who express excitement to be marking yet another Galilee Day celebration.
The Reverend Father in charge of the Catholic Church here brought the synergy of the Christians together. And it has been a blessing in my life because I could see my brethren from other churches, fellow worshippers coming to worship and to serve God together.
I get to meet the people and you share different ideas because we preach the oneness in Christ and we come here to practicalize everything, to tell people we are all one.
Every time I came back home to celebrate with my friends and family, I feel so excited.
It is explained to be an initiative of Kanshi Board, exemplifying that the body of Christ is one of the coming together of the different denominations.
It really touches us for unity, for love, for working together for progress. Of course, we are church people, so it's about Jesus.
The take-home message for Christians at this Galilee mountain is for everybody to be courageous in worshiping God in the truth and in the spirit.
The gathering came to a close with a procession in Karshi town. Charity Zakka, NTA News.
Out to other news now. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has projected global growth of 3% to last for a period of 5 years. Managing Director IMF, Kristalina Georgieva, stated this at the opening of the 2023 spring meeting while speaking on the topic Building Resilience and Reshaping Development. Abaladi Salami reports.
The Managing Director of International Monetary Fund, Kristalina Georgieva, said with the inflationary pressure, recovery has been elusive, thereby resulting in central banks' continuous increase in interest rates to control the trend. The transition from abundant liquidity with low interest rates to lower liquidity and higher interest rate, she added, has exposed vulnerabilities in the financial sector, thereby making task of policy making harder.
Despite the remarkable resilience of consumer spending in the United States, in Europe, despite the uplift from China's reopening, global growth would remain below 3% as we projected it earlier this year, and what is more concerning, it would remain around 3% for the next 5 years.
World Bank Group President David Malpass says the bank is keen on paying attention on performance of the world economy, the debt problems facing developing countries, with a view to provide assistance to people around the world, and especially for people that are on the lower end of the income scale.
The elements of growth into the future, it's important that there be more investment in small businesses, in new businesses, and that means a flow of capital, and a worry that we have for developing countries.
The International Monetary Fund, in its research, says cost of trade fragmentation can run as high as 7% of global GDP over the years. From Washington, D.C., Abuja Salami, NTA News.
The Buhari Media Organization has described the latest disbursement of 320.3 billion naira as intervention funds for public tertiary institutions as yet another evidence of President Muhammadu Buhari's desire to improve higher education in the country. In a statement, the BMO noted that the 2023 TED Fund disbursement is the highest in 30 years, and this showed that the Buhari-era disbursement to public higher institutions totaled 1.7 trillion naira compared to 1.24 trillion naira disbursed from the inception of the fund in 1993 to 2014. The group expressed the hope that the beneficiary institutions would use the intervention funds judiciously. Now, after thorough examination of the economics of subsidizing petrol for domestic consumption, the federal government has concluded that it is unrealistic to continue with the burden of subsidy running into trillions of naira every year. And the total deregulation of the downstream sector is projected to take effect from June this year. Following this conclusion, Lydia Sampson in this report leads our series on the fuel subsidy narrative in Nigeria.
Code quote from the late OPEC Secretary General Mohamed Sanusi Barkindo, which says, deregulation of the downstream petroleum industry is a tool for economic evolution and viable downstream oil industry. End of quote. His sentiments resonate with other global players, including the World Bank, that deregulating the downstream sector is the only way to salvage Nigeria's oil and gas and the ailing economy. This is because, despite Nigeria being Africa's continent-leading crude oil producer, the nation relies on importing refined petroleum commodities for its consumption, as the 4 local petroleum refineries in the country have not been functioning optimally for years. Ongoing rehabilitation is expected to change the narrative at an advanced level.
It is unimaginable that a whole sum of 13 billion naira is subsidized per day. This shows that it is high time subsidy should go.
If this is the reality, we must be able to reject some of the key issues that somehow limited investment into our country.
As part of efforts to tackle the multifaceted issues around fuel scarcity, the federal government initiated modular oil refinery projects and other private partnership projects, including evolving private refineries schemes such as the Dangote Refinery and Petrochemicals Farm at the Lekki Free Zone, Lagos State, and Ezekiel Refinery in Bayelsa State to boost indigenous refining of crude oil in the country. But these undertakings are still work in progress. Key players note that for now, though diesel and kerosene have been deregulated, the partial deregulation is not enough.
What has happened with the geopolitical tensions in Europe reflects in different forms in different countries. Today, offshore Lagos to Calabar is as high as $85,000, never minding the price of dollars. It's our work to manage all the stakeholders in the value chain, and it's something that the authority is fully engaged in.
It simply means that this country is subsidizing the elites, not the ordinary people. The ordinary people are the victims, and this has to stop. And this is a decision of all of us that the wise thing to do is to transfer these benefits to the ordinary people.
Experts say eliminating the rules regulating the industry for a free oil market where petroleum commodity prices are determined by the interaction of the forces of supply and demand in the oil market is the only way to attract more transcontinental investors to the oil industry. Deregulation, they acknowledge, is common to the downstream oil and gas sector in other climes, while industry players are emphatic that deregulation is the remedy to corruption in the industry. Many, for lack of understanding, are strongly opposed to ending subsidy and the total deregulation of the downstream. For now, top government functionaries and even the World Bank are on the same page and have continuously said it is unrealistic for Nigeria to continue to subsidize petrol. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA News.
I'm being joined now by Olayemi Success, an analyst in the oil and gas industry. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you so much, Uncle Sir. It's good to see you again.
All right. Now, the matter of deregulation has gone on for years and years and has been so contentious. What are your thoughts about it?
Well, like you said, it's so contentious, but at the same time, it's so frustrating. It's so contentious because people have not really believed and come to terms on why there has to be full deregulation and every form of subsidy has to remove. People have not come to this term because perhaps they have not been convinced, and there has been argument here and there, but the truth of the matter is, at this time, there shouldn't be any contention. Subsidy just have to go at this time. It's no more bearable. You can imagine even from the report of having to subsidize to the tune of 13 billion naira per day, which amounts to about 450 billion naira per month and about 5.something trillion naira per annum. Perhaps the common and average Nigerian just need to understand the meaning of this subsidy. So maybe the first question should be, what is even this subsidy we're talking about? That is the difference between the actual cost of selling petrol and the price that we are buying today. Now, what's supposed to be the actual cost? You import your product, you calculate your expenses, then with your little gain, then you determine the cost price. But government will now say, oh no, your cost price is too much for my people, therefore I want you to sell it at 195 naira. Therefore, government bridging or giving you the remaining amount per litre. And that is what has been calculated to be 13 billion naira per day. Now, 13 billion naira per day and 5.4 trillion naira per annum is about 30% of our total expenditure per annum. If you look at last year's budget, our total expenditure was around 17 trillion naira. Now, out of this 17 trillion, 5.4 for subsidizing petrol. This is unbearable. Who are we subsidizing for? Who are the chief beneficiary of this subsidy? Who are the beneficiary? These are the questions we should ask. Of course, in the past, as former student leaders have joined NSC and other progressive minded to do protests against subsidy removal. But with proper understanding, it is clear that subsidy just have to go down.
All right,
let's
just look at it from another angle. You have a very fragile economy as it is now, and for many people, the matter of a total withdrawal of subsidy might lead to tougher economic situations. For instance, the hike in prices of goods, transportation costs. So what are the immediate or long-term benefits of this total withdrawal of subsidy?
Serious, we just have to say this. At certain point in our life, we just have to face our fear. Yes, this point you made has always been the fear. Oh, when you remove subsidy, the situation will be tough, things will go up and all that. Yes, it is true. But the question is this: who is benefiting the subsidy as it is today? We are simply subsidizing for the rich as well. So, Siri, for example, you have a car. I'm sure your car is in the range of mine as well, where when you have your full tank, you can drive around Abuja for like 2 weeks with 70 litre of fuel. You are not using the V8 and high capacity, highly sophisticated SUVs like the rich. So where you use 70 litre, where you run your vehicle with 70 litre, the people driving SUV or the V8 4 litre capacity engine, they will be burning nothing less than 200 to 250 litre to cover that same distance. Now, you have one car. Perhaps you have another one maybe for the family. But these same people, we have multiple of these SUVs in the name of convoy. Convoy not because their size is bigger or necessarily, but just because they just have to drive in convoy. So who are we subsidizing for? We are subsidizing for the rich. We are robbing Peter to pay Paul. So we just have to know this reality and confront it. Now, to answer your question again, yes, it will come with some of this hike and all that. It is also reasonable that whatever we save from subsidy can be channeled to another angle that can be more beneficial to an average Nigerians than subsidizing just for the rich alone. For example, education. You have to look at it that according to NBS, Nigerians spend over $1.8 billion annually on education abroad. Okay. That is to tell you that if we channel some of these savings from subsidy to education, many Nigerians will stay at home. All right. Education here.
Okay, so, thank you so much. At this point, we'll have to leave this conversation, and thank you very much for coming. Olayomi Success, we appreciate your sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good to see you again.
Right, you're still on to NTA Network News. We'll pause now for some messages. The news will continue in just a moment. Thanks for staying with us. The 2023 Population and Housing Census is a clear departure from previous census exercises as every aspect of it goes digital. Federal Commissioner of National Population Commission Sokoto State Office, Abdullahi Dattijo, is therefore appealing to Nigerians to participate actively in the process with just 23 days to go. Aliyu Mohammed reports.
The Population and Housing Census is normally conducted after 10 years according to the United Nations, but the narrative differs in some countries. In Nigeria, census is conducted periodically. The exercise is conducted for several reasons that include knowing the actual size of the population, distribution of resources, revenue estimates, provision of social amenities, and ascertaining the level of manpower, among others.
Let us use this opportunity to come out en masse and embrace Census 2023. This is the first time Nigeria is going to conduct digital census. This is the first time Nigeria also is combining population and housing census all together as digital. We should not misuse this opportunity.
The Federal Commissioner in charge of Sokoto State, Chief Abdullahi Dattijo, said training of ad hoc staff and some key personnel has since commenced, calling on the people of Sokoto State to support and cooperate with the personnel carrying out the assignment. He disclosed that ad hoc staff will be moving from house to house, assuring that no household would be left out of the exercise.
The essence of doing the census, it's just like asking your house. You need to know the number of wives you have, even though I know how many there are. The children, how do they go to school? How do you feed them? What type of food do you eat? You need all this to make a good living, inshallah. And without that, you cannot plan.
An accurate census, experts say, can empower local communities by providing them with the necessary information to participate in local decision-making and ensuring they are represented. In Sokoto, Ali Muhammad Kawai, NTA News.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has arrived in London on the second leg of his engagements with foreign media and think tank organizations on the outcome of the 2023 elections, particularly the presidential polls. Anthony Forsin reports.
Mission in Washington to correct the imbalance in the skewed narrative which had pervaded the air, surely with international media organizations, international think tanks.
Describing his U.S. outing as fruitful and rewarding, the London engagement, he said, will not fall short of expectations.
We are going to repeat the same thing in London to let the world know that this is the freest election Nigeria has ever held. The leaked audio rattled Nigerians because the presidential of the Labour Party pleading with the cleric to please intervene on his behalf to convince Christians that this is a religious war, and as such, they should support him. But in the aftermath of the leaked audio, Mr. Peter Obi came to say it is fake doctored audio. If it's fake, it means it never took place. However, if it is doctored, it means that yes, there was that conversation, but it was manipulated. Now, so I think Mr. Peter Obi needs to come out to tell Nigerians which is which.
Lai Mohammed appealed to Nigerians to remain steadfast and positive with firm belief in the APC government. In London, Anthony Forson, NTA.
The All Progressives Congress National Integrity Movement has continued to speak on the need to play politics of ideology and development as the party transits beyond 2023. This came to the fore during the movement's interaction with some members of the National Assembly ahead of the inauguration of the 10th House of Representatives.
It's part of the things that we agreed. Most of the people that really do well, we identify with them, we appreciate them, we see how we can work in synergy and support them so that they can be able to succeed, so that our party will not fail. And in case of you find yourself in the corridor of National Assembly election, you should always put our party first.
We are part of the project, we believe in it, we believe in APC, and then that is why we invested heavily to see that APC come out very, very strong in 2023 general election.
All of you are ambassadors on this project, either at the party level, at your constituency level, in your neighborhood, in relationships, in whatever capacity.
The members appreciated the integrity movement for showing concern and taking deliberate steps in consolidating Nigeria's democracy through positive engagement with elected officials. The 2023 farming season has received a boost as the federal government approved 75% subsidy on all farm inputs to ensure bumper harvest. Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development Muhammad Mahmoud Abubakar stated this after inaugurating projects at the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. Tina Toro reports.
The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Muhammad Mahmoud Abubakar, was on oversight visit at the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. He disclosed federal government's approval of subsidy on all farm inputs for this year's farming season.
We also have items that we give as gratis, seeds, fertilizer, chemical fertilizers, insecticide, pesticide, and all of that we give to especially smallholder farmers.
Projects inaugurated by the Minister for Agriculture and Rural Development include upgraded lecture halls, theatres, amongst other facilities at the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine. At the National Agricultural Extension and Research Liaison Services, the focal point was the Skills Acquisition and Entrepreneurship Development Center, comprising animal husbandry, rice mills, feeds production, as well as apiculture. The minister was also at the Institute for Agricultural Research, Multi-Crop Seed Production Plant, the Dairy Complex and Biotechnology Laboratory at the National Animal Production and Research Institute was not left out. Center for Energy Research and Training, home to Nigeria's first nuclear reactor, played host to the minister, who described all projects inaugurated as a boost to Nigeria's drive for food security and sufficiency.
A lot more that can be done with nuclear, even in terms of agri. For example, you can map the type of soil in the whole country using this particular facility.
The minister urged farmers to return to their farms as measures have been put in place to ensure their safety. In Zaria, Tina Toro, NTA News.
The Corps Marshal Federal Road Safety Corps, Dauda Ali Biu, has commended the patrol teams of Osun State Sector Command for returning 27,171,400 naira recovered from crash victims. In a statement signed by the Corps Public Education Officer, Assistant Corps Marshal Bisi Kazim, the Corps Marshal expressed satisfaction over the good conduct, honesty and sense of patriotism exhibited by the personnel, saying not only has the team shown professionalism in delivering their duty, but they have also demonstrated integrity, which is one of the hallmarks of the Corps. The Corps Marshal says that the multiple road accidents which occurred in Ikpetri Jesha, Uriade local government of the state, claimed 6 lives, while 7 others sustained various injuries. But he reiterated the commitment of the FRSC to making the roads safe for all. Meanwhile, the return of the recovered money was witnessed by the police personnel of Ikpetri Jesha, Seriki Owena, Ilesha and Benin, as well as the Hausa community. President Muhammadu Buhari salutes leading businessman and philanthropist Aliko Dangote as he marks his 66th birthday, wishing him a long, healthy life and a joyful year ahead. In a statement, President Buhari commended him for the numerous efforts he is making for the nation's progress, the new heights he has added to Nigeria's prestige and global reputation. President Buhari prays that the Almighty will give him the strength and wisdom to do more for the nation. And now time to link up with Michael Olale in Lagos for more reports on Network News. Michael, it's over to you.
Siri, in the spirit of Easter celebration, pastor of the Household of God Church, Chris Okoti, has called on Nigerians to embrace peaceful coexistence as one of the essence of the season. He made the call during an Easter service in Lagos. Lynn Neneke reports.
This
This ambience set the tone for the Easter celebration by the Household of God Church, which symbolizes the resurrection of Christ from the tomb after his crucifixion. From the various sung ministrations, it was a joyous moment celebrating the fulfillment of the scripture in which Jesus Christ conquered and triumphed over death through his resurrection. This the congregation expressively display as Jesus Christ has brought light to the world and salvation to mankind. The senior pastor, Household of God Church, Pastor Chris Okoti, dwelt on the need for Christians to promote peaceful coexistence as a way of life.
Bring God into our situation and experience some kind of a political, economic, and social phoenixism where we rise from the doldrums, from the ashes of our fatalistic past and embrace a future where there are possibilities beyond our wildest imagination or even phantasmagoria. So I want to say happy Easter to all Nigerians and let Nigerians know that there is hope.
Special renditions were the order of the day. The Easter Thanksgiving service dovetailed into prayer intercession for the country and cutting of the cake. The Easter service marks the conclusion of 40 days of devoted prayers, fasting, and penitence observed by Christians the world over. In Lagos, Lynn Lenake, NTA News.
With the general elections over and inauguration in sight, building trust and confidence of Nigerians while equally eliminating selfish gains have been suggested to the new leaders. At the 10th edition of the NTA Lagos Network Center Yusuf Jibo Ramadan Lecture Series, Muslim clerics explained that the path to good leadership is found in emulating the attributes of Prophet Muhammad, peace be unto him. Virtues, kindness, and good deeds have no other name but embodied in Yusuf Jibo, who was the zonal director of the NTA Lagos Network Center until his demise in 2010. 13 years down the lane, his humanly attributes to resonate, and this 10th edition of the NTA Ramadan Lecture, instituted in his name, treats one of Yusuf Jibo's core values.
It is just like any other language.
With the theme, Good Governance, Imperative of Islam for the Leaders, and led an appraiser of the Nigerian situation, the guest lecturers dwell more on the need for leaders to use their office to build confidence and assurance strong enough to eliminate doubts.
Good governance here implies that you have to be just to all, regardless of who they are, which one is their leaning in terms of their faith subscription, or in terms of their tribal inclinations.
A good leader must be very kind to the followers.
The Director General of the NTA, Abdul Hamid Dembos, who was represented, told Muslims to use the period of Ramadan in extending their spirit of kindness as demonstrated by Yusuf Jibo.
For you to remember somebody like that, he has impacted love, he has impacted knowledge into life of so many people.
The sustenance of the lecture for the 10th in the series is a testimony to the important role Yusuf Jibo still occupy in the minds of many.
When the Imam was giving his lecture on the qualities of a leader, honestly, I saw everything in my husband.
In a particular Ramadan, Yusuf Jibo recited a whole Quran because of what he thought I was looking for then that I never had.
He was a detribalized Nigerian. He was an epitome of a good Muslim.
Special prayers were offered for the family, the Muslim community, NTA, and Nigeria at large. Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. Time for some messages. The news will be back shortly. Please stay.
We're back in Abuja now. Muslims have been reminded of the essence of life before the return to God, which was one of the topics of discussion at the 4th Annual Ramadan Lecture organized by the Forum for Islamic Guidance. Salwa Khalil Ibrahim brings us details.
Islam promulgates that every life shall taste death, and when it will come, nobody knows except the Creator. And so, Muslims were advised to turn to Allah before they return to Him.
It underscores the need to live every day, hour, minute, and indeed every second of our lives as though it is the last and only opportunity that we have.
In the spirit of the holy month of Ramadan and beyond, citizens were also charged to be good servants to God, be patriotic, embrace peace, and preach brotherhood.
When you are conscious enough with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it will lead you to do good to others, to be just leader, to be good husband, to be good parent, as well as good citizen.
You must not live in this world as if there is no going to be tomorrow. This is just a trial for you to know that, I have been given the opportunity to serve the people and serve humanity.
Salwa Khalil, NTA News.
Leaders at all levels have been challenged to build capacity while formulating plans needed to accelerate the nation's development. This was at the 2023 NTA Lokoja Annual Ramadan Lecture. Solomon Aiden reports.
NTA Lokoja Ramadan Lecture had in attendance traditional rulers, Islamic scholars, among others. This underscores the importance of the lecture with the theme, Leadership and Followership, the Islamic Perspective. Sheikh Nuruddin Lemu explained that there is a thin line between leadership and followership.
The Prophet Muhammad made it clear each one of us is a leader in our various capacities. Each one of us has influence on others, and the need for us to be better, to do better.
The Director General, NTA, Salihu Abdulhamid Dembos, represented by the General Manager, NTA Lokoja, Yahya Adam, described the theme of the lecture as timely.
The topic has been carefully chosen, taking into account the fact that Nigerians have just gone to the polls to elect their leaders at various levels.
The success of any society and in any society does not thrive on leadership alone. It's the responsibility of both leadership and followership.
So whatever we do now is to follow the laid down guidelines on how we can have effective leadership.
One of the takeaways from the lecture, in my humble opinion, is the essence of personal capacity building and the fact that whatever job one is doing, you should not look down on it.
Established in August 2009 by the current DG of NTA, Salihu Abdulhamid Dembos, when he was GM of NTA Lokoja, Solomon Ayedehin, NTA News.
We'll take some more messages. We'll be back. President Muhammadu Buhari has condoled with the family of late Idris Abdul Qadir, Professor of Veterinary Surgery and Medicine and former Executive Secretary, National Universities Commission, describing him as a scholar par excellence and a towering statesman. In a statement, President Buhari commended the late Abdul Qadir for his role in strengthening the country's university education and the paternalistic role he played in preserving the historic position of his alma mater, Barewa College, Zaria, saying that he leaves behind an indelible mark on the development of the nation. President Buhari prayed for the repose of his soul and courage for his family, government, and people of Kaduna State to bear the loss. And President Buhari also shares the pain of loss with family, friends, and associates of the 5th Vice Chancellor of the University of Port Harcourt, Professor Nimi Briggs, who died at 79, extending sympathy to the academia and the Nigerian Medical Association. In a statement, President Buhari notes the historic contributions of the scholar to national development, particularly the educational sector, reaching the pinnacle of his career with distinctions in service. The president says the Emeritus Professor of Medicine, Pro-Chancellor of Federal University Abakaliki, Bayelsa Medical University, Yenagoa, and Chairman, Committee of Pro-Chancellors of Nigerian Universities, lived for the good of the country and humanity, urging family and friends to immortalize his legacies. The President prays that the Almighty God will grant the soul of the departed a peaceful rest. And now for a beat on sports.
Despite moving the FIFA Under-20 World Cup from Indonesia to Argentina, the Nigerians Flying Eagles past tournaments. Aside from Nigeria, Senegal, Gambia, and Tunisia are other African representatives.
That concludes Network News, but remember the National Population Census is just about 22 days away. You count, be counted. I'm Cyril Stover. Good night.